Since the dawn of time, learning a language has involved confronting your opinions to others. That means that you use expressions like I beg to differ, I disagree, we must agree to disagree, and debating is central to learning a language, a new one, especially a foreign language. So that's why the first theme is this syllabus of Terminal is debating about art. All the forms of debates that art can represent or, let's say, trigger, okay? Cause, provoke, that's it. So we're going to focus on debating in this first video about the different themes that you're going to study in LLCER classes. Okay, so all the videos are going to be structured the same way, and we start with 6 keys to succeed. 3 necessary steps to be able to set your arguments on the D-Day for the oral examinations. Here, when you deal with debating, you have 6 letters to succeed. A, and the first thing that springs to mind is the writer in his time, okay? Social novel or the movement of social realism. B, commitment and resistance, okay? Which is definitely developed through art. Transgression, derision and humor, okay, are also very important. Be careful because usually humor is very difficult to decipher for students, and when you laugh after reading a sentence or watching a scene from a movie, it's important to be able to understand why. Okay, D for censoring or censored art. Okay, is art being censored? That means being limited in its development, or is art censoring something? Is art reducing the power of something? So E for rhetorical skills in famous speeches or debates. Okay, when we take Nixon and JFK's debate during the presidential elections in 1960, we understand that it was a turning point for Kennedy in winning the elections, and it's important to keep it in mind. So F for political debates, okay, including war literature. Are war poets denouncing something or just showing the atrocity of the war? Okay, so these six keys could be developed or could be illustrated by different works of art, and this is what I tried to show you, in this next slide. It leads us to this part, what I called the unforgettables, ideas for your portfolios, of course. Okay, so for example, you could illustrate social novels with The Enormous Radio by John Cheever, okay, or on Ken Loach's movies, okay. This director is very famous. We could think about I, Daniel Blake, for example, which is very representative of the movement of social realism, showing the problems of nowadays society or of a given society. Moll Flanders is in the same fashion showing the atrocity of poverty in Victorian England when this mother is stealing to feed her children. William Hogarth, all the paintings and engravings by William Hogarth are also representative of it. B, of course, we couldn't miss George Orwell's Animal Farm. Okay, I could also mention, because we shouldn't forget that African literature is also part, of course, of Commonwealth literature, but also to a certain extent, to a larger extent, it also fits in, let's say, British literature. So Chitra Achebe, Things Fall Apart, are about colonization in Africa. It is about colonization, in Africa. V.S. Naipaul, in a Free State, in the same way, is dealing with colonization in the West Indies. Everything that is deeply rooted in Elvis Presley's music is also important, okay? He was playing black music, singing black music in a very segregated society. So it's also interesting to see to what extent he managed to make the two parts bond in the end. E.M. Forster, A Passage to India, of course. C, okay, so Mr. Bean, Charlie Chaplin, Beckett Waiting for Godot, okay, the absurd in British literature, the equivalent of UNESCO in French literature. D for Lady Chatterley's Lover, okay, very controversial novel that created and that sparked a lot of debate in the society of the time because it was making sex accessible by anyone in this very novel, which was a bit shocking for a few people at the time. J.D. Salinger, The Catcher in the Rye, Teenage Skies, is in the same fashion is a way to trigger debate in the society because it's seen from the point of view of a teenager like you, almost your age. So I've decided to insist on two phenomena, so should I say, je reprends. I've decided to focus on two phenomena at the time. Don't forget a phenomenon, two phenomena, okay? So on two phenomena at that time, Banned Books Week, which is a regular moment in the United States, and during which we can focus on banned books and wonder why they were banned, forbidden, okay? And trigger warnings during exhibitions at the beginning. Is it a way to brainwash people that are about to see the exhibition, or in another way, is it a way to just warn them, okay, about what they are about to see? And at some point, we can wonder at how much it influences the way they consider the works of art. Okay, Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray, especially in the preface, is giving a new definition of the role of art, okay, especially in triggering debates. To trigger is like to shoot with a gun. To trigger something is to provoke it. So Denzel Washington, The Great Debaters, very good movie in which we see the art of debating and we see how much people can train and practice before being able to debate properly. Obama, Yes We Can, of course, this famous speech. Mandela, I'm Prepared to Die. Two very famous speeches that fit in that part about famous speeches and debates. Okay, I mentioned it in the introduction. You could definitely add to this part the debate between Kennedy and Nixon during the presidential elections in the United States in 1960. Last but not least, Raymond Carver, Preservation, okay, war literature. Liam O'Flaherty, The Sniper, and Graham Greene, the 10th Man, okay? We could also mention The Red Badge of Courage, for example, by Stephen Crane, okay? Another very famous novel showing the atrocity of the war. Or why not A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. Same, let's say, meaning and atmosphere. Okay, so to each theme of the curriculum, you have corresponding classics in the list that is compulsory. Teachers have to choose classics among that very list to study with you in class. So when I considered the list that is used at the moment, we could definitely include The Handmaid's Tale, okay, to debating, and you will see it in the video about it. We could also focus on Death of the Salesman, okay, by Arthur Miller, another criticism of the society of his time. Of course, we mentioned it in the corresponding video, 12 Angry Men, and you can watch the video to get more details. And The God of Small Things as well, which is another classic that fits in the theme of debating about India and this caste system especially. Okay, so iconic works that you could also add to your portfolio because before thinking about a precise classic, your portfolio revolves around a theme. And I think this is what should help you find the issue you're going to try and develop and answer, in your portfolio. So different works. I very much like this one. I like this one very much, should I say. When I Hit You, the portrait of a writer as a young wife. It's a reference to a very famous novel, and I let you find the source. And it's really interesting to see how much this female writer in India, which is already an exploit, managed to show the atrocity of being a wife in this society. Then we could mention, of course, pop art, which is very interesting. Gulliver's Travels, which has nothing to do with real travels, but which is actually, yes, a way to analyze the society of the time. And then we could mention the 27 Club, all these artists that died at 27, including Amy Winehouse, for example, and different rock artists as well. So Janis Joplin, for example. We can mention Prince E.A., a very famous poetry slam artist, someone who is also called a spoken word artist, and he's very famous for that. And I've already mentioned Elvis Presley. In the same fashion as Prince E.A., another Indian woman who lives in the UK at the moment, but who is very famous for speaking her mind in her text and creating debates and provoking debates, is Rupi Kaur. She's famous, for example, for talking about her periods in her text, or different taboo subjects that might make people uncomfortable in other ways. That's it. So these works are to be considered. So it's nothing exhaustive. I would like you to be able to investigate now and find other works of your own that echo your way of considering the theme, but keeping all these characteristics and landmarks in mind. Okay, so thank you for watching, and see you next time.